12.
12?
Hi, I'm just what your maturity is.
What?
No.
What are you talking about? Oh, I see. Hey, welcome everybody.
Hi.
It's Aaron Live with
The
Aaron
12-year-old.
and Shelley Showtime. It's the 27th of February.
It is, and it was covered up, and you still got it.
Oh, I'm just amazing.
Nice.
When I prep, we prepped 5 minutes before the show started.
Yeah. What are you doing? And
You're
what
like Marlon. You're like Marlon Brando. I just give you a few lines. Like, okay, just write it down for you, and I'll just go with it. I spent a little bit more time. Yeah. Well, I spent a little more time prepping than you did. Let's just
prepping on what? Clear. It takes me forever to do my hairs.
I'm talking about like show content. Okay.
Oh.
Not just. Okay. Do I look? I gave up looking good like as soon as I lost my hair.
We do kind of clash, but that's okay.
Well, it's not like we're going out on the town. This is just.
We have to coordinate our outfits, apparently.
Apparently not, because we haven't. So
no, well, so we need to.
That's your job.
Anyway.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Aaron Live. It's a wonderful time. It's going to be a big show. We have stuff planned for today. So let's quit screwing around and get to it, shall we? Let's see who's here. Nicholas Gear is here.
He's here.
Now, Nicholas, this is kind of nice. He says, we Texans usually don't accept interlopers, but we accepted and adopted the Texan, Mr. J.C. Vaughn.
I'll be glad to know that.
I wonder if he'll wear his cowboy hat today. We'll find out in a little bit. Okay. Leg Kick is here because Leg Kick is almost always here. I think this is important. Aaron hit the big time. Forget the cover of Rolling Stone. We got Overstreet.
Bucket
list thing, right? Yeah.
But there was somebody here way before because I thought I was. Yep, I thought I was first.
But you weren't.
A couple hours ago. But I was not.
I was setting this up at about 10:30 in the morning, just before I went to church, and Stippling jumped in and said, hey, so he was the first one in the door.
After I was like, I'm first.
But you know what you get for being here first? Nothing. But we appreciate it. We appreciate you coming up. I got the finger on it. Look it. Randy Howell, celery sticks, do they count? They do, actually. Not in this house, but if you're...
Well, you talked about getting a veggie tray.
I know, and Shelley just was like, why laugh? Because I knew you wouldn't eat it. So I would. You get enough.
There's enough ranch or hummus.
I was going to say, if you put enough ranch on it, anything's good, right?
Yep.
Ooh. Squeaky made salmon for dinner.
What do we have for dinner?
I'm going to make...
Just waiting on my sandwich.
I'm going to make...
No sandwich.
I'm going to do... This is actually for me.
What? Inside because
I offered you a panini and you said no, just give me some soup. And you and Charlie's London are like on me for this whole sandwich thing.
Until I get me a sandwich.
I'm completely innocent.
You're in trouble.
I'm completely innocent is what I am. Hey, Lewis has got seafood dinner as well.
Ooh,
that's quite good.
That kind of day.
No, I was gonna say I'm gonna make like Italian sausage and something, I think.
Okay.
Well, you asked me what I was making for dinner.
I know.
And then you started complaining about the sandwich, and then we went off the rails.
As we tend to do. Ooh. I think so. $1 million.
I've already had somebody by the name of Steve Jeppy offer to buy it, and I'm not selling it this moment.
Ooh. Because that's a bucket list.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Let's see. Jeff Stout is here, and Jeff Potts is here.
Jeffries are in the house.
Do we acknowledge Geek Avenger because there he is? Daryl Wayne. Yeah. Hello, Daryl. Thank you. Daryl. Angelo Curry is here. He included both us saying hello, Aaron and Shelley, and the chat. So
everybody's covered.
Judge Dredd.
Hello.
Stat Zero is here. And he says hello to everybody as well, which I think is good. Now here's Fox Mulder. Fox bought into the comic. He's actually in the comic, and I finished that page.
I looked,
and I'm almost done inking that page. I'll finish it up tonight. So the all the guest appearance shots are done, and part of history.
Yeah, they look good. History.
Now, you are again, Fox. You will be in a house of ill repute. So
enjoy.
But you do have some good lines. So
nice.
Yeah. Judge,
he's like also a prepper too.
That means he preps for his show. That means he's responsible.
Oh, okay.
Shelley is Brando, and Aaron's the guy who played Fredo.
But I'm chubby, but not chubby.
No. And here's Jeff. This is what I think of Fredo. So Jeff gets one right out the gate. Paul Brillard is here. Darth Josh, formerly of Oregon, and now he's where are you? Kentucky, someplace like that. I can't even remember.
Somewhere better than here.
Yes. This is true, but calling someone a Fredo is an insult. But yeah, Fredo, because he was the wimpy brother in The Godfather. Of course, you remember.
I've seen it. It's intense.
Wow. You know
Divorce
what?
Papers.
David Brohawk Williams is in the chat. And the thing about David has a new project out called Truth, Justice, American Way. And because I'm such a great guy, I included a link to that campaign in the description of this video. So if you have not checked this out and backed it, please go there and do that. Because it looks like it's going to be really, really good. Captain Battleship. Do we know Captain Battleship?
I think it's a new one.
My copy of Vargas came in Friday. Thanks for the recommendation. Nice. You are welcome.
That's a new one for me, I think.
Yeah, well, I obviously recommended Vargas' book to him, so he's not. What is this? Aaron, turn your hat to the back so you can rock that skimmer like G. Can we have a white translation for that, please? I have no idea what he just said.
It says you don't look cool, man.
Oh, is that? See, Shelley knows.
I'm hip with the kids.
Yeah,
and stuff.
I guess. Okay. Let's see. Shelley looks very classy tonight. Aaron.
Oh, thanks.
Aaron, not so much. Well, what do you think about what do you think after this? Will this change your mind at all about my looks? I just couldn't get it out.
Words are hard.
I couldn't get it out, and you jumped all over me. So I appreciate the support.
Sorry. Oh my gosh, you're way behind.
Well,
awesome.
See, Geek Avenger says, William, you're in Gabe's comic book. Looks pretty good. It looks darn good, actually.
Darsh is in Kentucky.
Yes. See, is that what I said? Or did I say?
I can't remember. I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. Yeah, I can do things like that. I can do that.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not, I said lines, actually.
Well,
I said
he needs both.
From
where he's at. Is that for me?
I'm not sure, since you're piling on with this crowd.
Sorry.
I don't know if I can trust
oh my gosh, I was in bed for what day is it?
Alfredo is delicious. No, actually, we're talking about
Delicioso.
Fredo from The Godfather, not Alfredo.
Oh my gosh.
I do make a good Alfredo though.
Yeah.
She wants Jelly to dress like Mrs. Cleaver from Airplane. Okay, that's pretty good.
That's a good one.
That's pretty good. Oh, look at this. Dan, did we know you're in Vegas? We drove through Vegas and we're really impressed with how it's all built up and really nice and new. Yeah. I mean, outside of the strip. We
stopped in. Where did we stop?
I don't know.
Culver City? No.
Culver City's in California.
I know. That's why I said no. Oh, we'll
Marcus,
be right back.
Hello.
That's all I could think of. Where's my friend live?
I
don't even know. Some little town
on the other side
really cool.
of on the south side of
we stopped there
Vegas.
For food.
Yes, we did.
Now I got to figure it out because
it's driving me crazy. Okay, well, let's get rolling, Shelley. One of the first things we need to do is to let everybody know that they need a public service announcement like this. Now, the thing is, I want to encourage people to like and subscribe to this channel before we give them a reason not to. So hit that like button and subscribe right now before it's too late for you to change your mind. That helps us grow the channel. And gosh darn it, we need to get up to 2,000 subscribers.
That would be fun.
We're at 166 right now, which is fine. That's good, but we need to get bigger and better. So anyway, but one of the great things about this show, one of the things that makes this show unique is eating.
Me. Oh, snackage.
And you, of course. But eating is what I was talking about. So let's do this.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
She didn't even say it this time, but I was so geared to push the button that I pushed it, and she didn't even deserve it that time. Oh well.
I got credit.
Yeah. That's right. So next time you do it, I won't. I won't.
That's too funny.
Sequential says, "Hey, I haven't even broken 100 subs yet. You're killing it as far as I'm concerned." Well, thank you, sir.
Well, thanks. I subscribed yesterday.
Look at this.
There you go.
Hey, I backed Wraith of God and Truth, Justice, American Way on the same day last week. Hey, thanks, Marcus.
Nice job, Marcus.
Awesome. Ooh. You know, I saw some of those at the store, and I almost did that. Almost did that. Okay, so Shelly, what have we got?
I can. Okay. Well,
are you going to do your advertisement, your advertisement for White Claw?
You know, I always have my snackage. So whatever you're eating, I don't care.
Okay, but what do you have?
And then in Joe Biden's America, they didn't have any gummy bears.
They didn't. The store was out.
We're going to pretend.
Those are good, though, and actually have less calories.
Because they're smaller.
I guess.
I don't know. They're
90 calories. That's all.
Doesn't matter.
And also, these are good. These are
calories here. Oh, sorry.
Yogurt, strawberry covered yogurt pretzels. That's always a good treat. Now, I went next level because I walked in the store and I had not seen these before. But look at this. A tiny little cherry pie.
Cute.
It's so cute. And
so tiny, so cute.
I'm going to take a big bite of it right now.
Oh, nope, not all over the shirt. I called it, but
she whispers. She's 6 inches from my ear and whispers like I'm not going to hear that. I hope it goes over his shirt. What?
I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to them. But eavesdropping.
Now I'm eavesdropping. Okay. Show's over.
Oh my gosh. Oh, Jolly Rancher gummies. Yeah.
Mind
blowing.
Ooh. Mini muffins. Blueberry mini muffins.
If they're tiny, they don't have as many calories.
That's right. So you can eat twice as many, right? Isn't that how it works?
Yep.
Well, this is good. The crust is like really soft too.
Oh, okay. Well, he'll be back later after his insulin coma. I'm already in one.
I brought a napkin, so I wouldn't be too disgusting. Okay.
Stat had some ice cream cake.
Well, he was on a date at the Dairy Queen, so he might have picked. He's on an ice cream roll lately.
Yeah. What's our roll? Yeah, we don't have one. We gotta find a roll.
We went to Taco Bell the other night. Did you try? Bad, though. Did you try the White Claw Coke mix?
You know what? I'm wondering because I haven't really looked at the color of the White Claws. I don't know if they're clear because they just go right down. So I don't know. No, but I haven't tried it.
Ethan will be jealous of that pie. Actually, no, he won't because this pie is way too small. He wants a bigger.
Well, that way you just have a lot of them.
That's right. Okay. You know, I think it's time, Shelly, that we do a Wraith of God update. Now, I don't have like an intro thing to run for Wraith of God
just
update.
Make one up right now. Do your song.
It's the Wraith of God update. Now that wasn't that bad. I'm gonna have to rehearse that. But anyway.
Logical.
Spock knows it needs rehearsing. You know, it
was all right though.
Okay.
So look at. I'm sorry. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 5 days, maybe 4.5. Just a cluster migraine, back and forth, and all the time.
What does that got to do with me?
Well, because I haven't. Now I'm ornery. I'm vertical.
So you're gonna pick on me?
I shower, shampooed, and shined.
And she just smell nice. So.
Thanks.
Okay.
All right. Look at.
Okay.
It's the Bickersons.
Can I just show this? Okay. So part of the free stuff, and you get a lot of free stuff when you back Wraith of God.
Oh my gosh. Swag.
So, yeah. If you haven't backed Wraith of God, there's a link in the description and you should do it because you get free stuff. And the latest free thing that I just finished going to the printer this week is
so cool.
Our Wraith of God Ace of Spades playing card.
Oh, yeah.
As you can see, the Ace of Spades side is aged.
I like it.
Because it's an old card from the Old West.
Yes.
And there we have the Wraith in living color, such as he is. I mean, he is kind of black and white, but...
Show.
What?
In
show?
Living color. It's a show.
Yeah, I know. But
come on, we all know this.
Okay. So anyway, everybody, Shelly, not just somebody, but everybody that backs Wraith of God at any level.
Now, because we've made that stretch goal, right?
Yep. That was the last stretch goal.
Yep. And that's the biggie because, wow, for a card.
They're spendy.
A little spendy.
But it's going to be so cool. So I'm just really happy to get the opportunity to do that.
I like that art too. That'd be a good t-shirt.
Could be a lot of good things. There's a lot of good things going on.
Awesome.
So anyway, and I want to let everybody know, I'm on page 58. I'm just finishing up. I'm almost done inking it. I'll be done with it in about
58?
an hour and a half. Yeah. So I start 59 on Monday. Now here's the thing. I would be on page 60, but you know what I did?
I know what you did.
I had a dialogue scene.
I know what you
did. And I drew it and I inked it and it was in the done pile. And I started looking at it and I thought, this is padded. This does not need to be 2 pages.
Right.
So I just burped, excuse me. So that's why I paused. So
sound effects and everything.
So normally I would be page 60.
Right.
But I had to take one of those pages away and redo the whole dialogue sequence.
I know.
Got the hands going.
Gesticulating.
And so, but what that did is, it put me a couple days behind.
I know, because you were complaining about it.
I was very pissed.
Yeah, he was not
I almost
happy
didn't
with
do
himself.
it.
Yeah.
But it was like I couldn't sleep. I was like, this needs to be fixed.
Yeah, he'd be like, no, I'll just leave it. And then, it would haunt him for days.
So anyway, what that does is it frees up an extra page to go into the big finale.
To really big show.
Which I was actually thinking, you know what? That's a good thing.
Yeah.
So I lost 2 days, but we're going to
get a better story,
a better page in a better situation.
So what are you going to do with those others?
What others?
The ones you aren't using. You're going to burn them in sacrifice of?
No, they'll just be part of the collection.
Yeah, he edited himself.
I do. And the funny thing is when I was working at DC, I often edited myself. But that's another story. Yes, production value is going through the roof. Absolutely.
So excited.
Cuts out the gristle. I like that. That's good. What is this? Don't be a knucklehead. Back Wraith of God now. There we go.
Or no, Sequential Treasure said that, right?
That's right.
He says, so it is true.
Aaron looks like Fire Marshal Bill from Living Color.
He has lips.
You're about to look like Fire Marshal Bill. Here, let me. That's got to hurt. So maybe this will help loosen you up a little bit.
Ooh, from one end to the other.
Yeah, so that's a double. You don't make comments about my horrible looks like that without paying for it.
Yeah, the beauty of doing your own stuff, you get to. Well, but you'd be amazed how many times he had to edit the books he was working on too, because stuff would get through and he'd be like, no, can't happen.
What's going on here? And then oftentimes they would just leave it. I'm like,
yeah.
So anyway,
nobody will know.
Yeah, I'm talking to Paramount right now about, I wish.
I was like,
liar. Wouldn't that be great? Okay. So moving right along, Shelley, as we need to do, we got a lot of stuff to do.
Got it.
This is Shelley's new segment.
Oh,
and so she's going to have to get ready.
I'm ready.
Get ready for.
Oh, that's me.
It's you.
Well, you have to do the.
I'm taking a break.
So
I'm taking a break. And
taking a break. You have to get the screen up though. Share. Is it share?
Oh my gosh. This is why she should be prepping. Oh my gosh. Don't fist me.
That window.
This one, you want this one?
That one? Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so here we are. Show the shout outs for the week. So first, I saw this on Twitter and I thought it was great. I'm just imagining you with a Batman t-shirt on.
I had a Batman t-shirt. Did you go to New York with me when I had the Batman t-shirt?
I have no idea.
Or was that, or was I flying solo then?
I don't know. Well, we're going to start with Stat. It's always so uplifting and so much fun. And so one...
Is that showing up, by the way? Can we check real quick just to make sure?
Yeah,
it is. Okay, go ahead.
So one morning he was asking for input on what to do for his morning warm-up. I said, I got to have a Wraith and Esther So this is what we got, and I loved it. So now I done told you I can't help with this streaming channel, whatever that is, and I don't know what gummy bears and White Claw are. Good thing I do.
I love that.
I know. It's awesome.
We would have bought the original art if it existed, but since it's digital, it's in cyberspace only. Oh. I guess we can print it out, though.
Well, I actually saved it as a photo.
Okay. Because I print that out and hang it on the wall.
Yeah, for sure. All right. But also other people wanted to give him a shout out for always being so positive and uplifting. Love ya. Awesome. Awesome. All right. So when I put out the call for what's awesome this week, so my Black Rose Comics said most entertaining launch. And so I looked at it a little bit and that's what I saw. And I laughed.
Australian Michael Bancroft.
Yeah. So, but it was really sweet because the guy was so excited that, you know, that it was a launch and it was doing well. And then he had tears. It was really sweet.
Oh,
did you have tears?
I had lots. I did.
All right. Well, then Lord Tatum said, you know what, just for existing, he needs a shout out. So
there he is.
There it is.
There's your existing, and there you get your shout out.
A huge one though. Oh my gosh. She's the cutest little thing ever. So baby Umbrella had her heart surgery. And it went perfect and awesome. And she got to go home. I know, isn't she cute? Oh my gosh. Just want to eat her up. Put her on a bun and eat her up. And then Charlie's London. She had a big week. Great thing at work. She got outstanding on her lessons. Yeah.
Sweet.
She lost 4 pounds.
That's
jealous.
Fun.
And she's wrapping up her campaign, which is awesome. Someday we'll be able to say that.
Someday soon.
If we're still alive when that happens.
No, what are you suggesting?
It's going to be well, no, I'm like just the
you mean
fulfillment. That's the thing.
If we survive the fulfillment.
Right.
Okay.
But Justin Knight did, so there's hope. Let's see. So stippling, because you're awesome. Thanks to the bros for talking about George Perez. How'd that go?
We did. It was very touching in a lot of ways. And it was
I hope his
nice.
family gets to see it if they haven't. Also, Madness Comics. So I think from what I read, if I understand correctly, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's raising money to provide comic books for kids in the hospital and things, which I think is really
nice. It's very nice.
Like that one?
Well, Cheyenne 70. Shelly deserves it. You didn't spell your name correctly, though.
But that's okay.
Is it?
It is.
Okay.
It's fine. And then you already ruined this surprise. But
well, that's why I wanted to know what you were doing, because I already had plans to show both sides of the card. But there it is anyway. Big shout out.
So shout out to you for doing that. I really like this one.
I busted my butt to get that done.
I know. It's really good.
So we could have it for the show tonight.
But there was one that I forgot to screenshot, and I can't remember who put out there, but I think it was Shane Davis explaining what rendering is, so that everybody could understand, because there was a big thing about rendering this week.
Too many lines.
So many lines. I can't even take it anymore. So there it is.
Shelly's shout outs. I'm going to close this. Okay.
Yep. Do it.
Boom. There it is.
Here we
Shelly's shout outs.
Shouted outed.
Well, I think it's always.
Did you eat that whole pie already?
Heck yeah.
That whole pie. It was like this big. Yeah.
And now I'm going for the gummies. Okay. So we did that. Let's take a look at Rights and Image for the day, shall we?
Okay, I'm ready. Very nice.
That's an interesting piece, because Wrightson didn't do a lot of superhero stuff. In fact, he hardly did any. Not Star-Lord, of course. The original Star-Lord is not the one from the movie, but what he looked like before the movie.
Right.
And that's the inside front cover to a preview. Marvel Preview was a magazine, black and white magazine, where Star-Lord first appeared. And I believe, I don't know what issue, but I believe that was a pinup used as a front cover illustration in one of those. And I love that little worm guy he's tackling, because he's chunky and you feel like you could just squeeze him.
Well, you know what I was thinking when I was looking at the foliage?
Mm-hmm.
Is that what that was?
Yeah, sure.
You could, that would almost like have a texture. In my head, I was going, I wonder if it's fuzzy.
Yeah. So that was, I liked, but
it's a
nice solid piece.
The only thing I could say though, So many lines. So many lines.
Oh
Sorry.
my goodness. Okay. So anyway, so that's our
awesome.
rights and image of the day.
I like that one.
But we're not done, Shelley.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Now, Rodney Ulabari.
I do.
He not only is he a big supporter of the show, he's also I don't know if he's in the chat.
Big supporter.
Well, he watches in reruns when he can't be here live. But
okay, I expect an update then.
Okay. He also is an investigative reporter.
That's what I heard.
And he finds information on the internet where it looks like people may be ripping off the Wraith of God. So we have an update from Rodney. Now, this includes the previous ones to get everybody caught up, but then the new material as well. Gotcha. So let's take a look at this.
Okay.
Star Wars feels the need to rip me off. Isn't that just terrible?
Gosh. All right, I gotta go.
All right, JC's in the back room. Hang in there for just a couple minutes, JC, and we'll bring you right in. Okay, we got a couple more quick little bits. He's so punctual. He's 2 minutes early, so I'm going to pretend you're not there.
On time, you're late.
Well, now what did Batman? Well, Batman said I'd rather be an hour early than a minute late. So
good thing
he said that.
He said that.
He did. He was kind of lecturing Robin in one of the episodes.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yep.
So let's move right along to this. This hasn't been in the flat files very long, only a few minutes, but I want to pull it out because this is the original artwork to the Wraith of God Ace of Spades playing card. And this is on 11 by 17 paper. As you can see, it's not quite all the way to the top, but it's a pretty good sized image. This will be going up for sale on my on the campaign page later today. So I'm giving you guys a heads up. I will send out an update to everybody that's back, so everybody will know when it goes on. But it will be up there as a perk. It's not a hidden perk or a secret perk. It's just a regular perk. But I will send out an update just before I post it. And there you go. So that'll be going up there today. So that's and you can see the old-fashioned splatter effect down here.
I noticed that.
Toothbrush, I know. And Pro White. But you also see some black splatter.
I do. I see it. You guys see it?
Now, this is much dangerous because you take a toothbrush with India ink on it and spritz it. I put a rubber gloves on so I wouldn't get ink all over my hands, but that doesn't mean I didn't get ink all over the floor where I was, I tried to clean it up. She's over there looking.
Yeah, no.
No, if we sell this house and somebody buys it, they'll know this is an artist studio just by looking at all these stains on the floor. But anyway, so that is what's in my flat file right now.
Flat file. Okay. Awesome, man.
Thank you so much. Okay. We have one more thing to do, and then I'm going to bring JC in for our last two little bits so he can participate a little bit. That's right. But when we know Shelley sometimes knows things and sometimes she doesn't know things. And we're going to find out what she knows. And if she doesn't know things, I'm sure JC does know them.
Okay, good.
So anyway, but let's run tonight's precious moments.
Oh, these are my favorite. Okay,
shall we?
Yeah.
You always say that, then you complain about them.
There's been a few that were good and precious.
All right, here we go.
What did he say? What the hell are you doing in the bathroom day and night? Why don't you get out of there? Give someone else a chance.
Very precious.
Oh my gosh, that's such a great movie.
I know.
Oh, I could just do scenes from that.
I know.
All day long.
Every day.
All day and every day. Okay.
Ovaltine?
It is. Oh, it's 5:32. So now I've made JC wait.
Oh, you're late.
But now we're going to introduce him.
Hey,
ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together and welcome back to the show.
Can't hear it.
The VP of Publishing of the Overstreet Price Guide. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. JC Tex VAUGHN. Welcome,
How could it possibly be worse? Could be raining.
So it is raining out here, so it couldn't get any worse here.
Oh, you're raining.
Oh my goodness! Welcome. Thanks for coming back. This is going to be.
I'm very excited to be here, particularly for the reason I'm here.
Yeah, so am I. This is an exciting moment. But before we get to why you're here, we're going to play a little game. Now, you participated last time you were here with the Star Trek stuff.
That's
if you recall.
correct. And if you do Star Trek again, I'll do very well.
No, well, I'm not doing Star Trek, but let's find out.
Still do well, I'm sure.
Actually, let's do this first. I normally do this before I bring the guest on, but I'm doing this specially for you tonight. So, and you'll see why in a minute. So hang on. You are the price guide guy, so I figured it's appropriate.
No pressure.
All right, here we go.
No pressure.
Now, you had just mentioned to me recently that, boy, wouldn't you love to have a Captain America 100 in 9.2?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, now, can you, what do you think? I'm looking at my first price guide I ever bought, 1976.
Will Eisner.
Now, how much do you think Captain America 100, you could get a near mint copy of Captain America 100 in 1976?
$20.
$2.
Holy
time machine.
Dollars.
No, wouldn't have had a clue.
$2. Okay, but here's the brutal truth. What do you guys think a Cap 100 right now in 9.2 is going for?
No idea.
Shelley, what do you think? Wait a minute. What is the chat? Does anybody think in the chat?
Does anybody think in the chat? Does anybody think?
If they were thinking, they wouldn't be watching the show. So we know that. But okay, here's the harsh reality.
Here's the sad truth about what's going to happen if you keep on asking me prices.
Okay, you're going to look it up?
I don't know them. I have the guide. Bob Overstreet still does all the pricing, and I do everything else.
Oh, there you go.
You know what this reminds me of? That scene. And what was the movie where Sean Connery's out in the jungle and he discovers the cure for cancer? And then what was
Medicine
that?
Man.
Medicine Man. Yes. Yeah. And doesn't he have that line? They're like something about how he lost the formula, and she's like, "Well, what do you mean?" He goes, "Well, I wrote it down," or something like that. And he's like, "That's what." Oh, wait a minute. Was that Indiana Jones? He said that. Where he asked him where the clues to the. He might have said it in both movies.
We'll have to figure it out.
Yeah. So
People
you don't
throwing out money now.
You don't memorize it. You don't memorize it because you don't have to. It's written down.
Right.
Honestly, I have enough to do getting the advertising, the articles, the brilliant cover artists, and everything else. I really, it's seriously. And I'm also, my standard joke is I'm a little bit of the staff heretic in that I trade my regular issues for trade paperbacks and hardcovers because I feel really bad putting original comics on scanners. Opening into this page, getting a scan of that panel. I don't feel bad doing that to my books.
Yeah, don't bend the cover.
So I have a small collection of my own comics still, but overall, I collect by subject, I collect by publisher, all this kind of stuff. But the truth is that almost all of my collection has moved to hardcovers and trades. It's because I just can't do it. I can't put a great Silver Age or Golden Age book on the scanner. I just
be painful.
Well, okay. So let's just say, imagine if you had like a Captain America 109.2. Let's just say you happen to have one like I do.
Like moi.
This book right now,
$8,900.
well, I wish. $21.86 was the last fair market value published on this baby. Now, I traded for mine. Didn't cost me a dime. When it was about $500, I traded a couple commissions for it and took it home. Now, here's the thing.
By the way, I could be looking through the guide off screen here, and I am not.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you not cheating, because some people around here do cheat. I'm not dropping any names.
I get.
Not dropping any names. But anyway, so that's the value of that little gem, and that's the second one I had. I don't know if you remember or not, but very early on in our marriage, Josh was a little tiny. We drove out to someplace in Southeast Portland. Some guy was selling his comic collection, and he wanted to sell the whole thing, and I would have bought it. He had a nice collection. He had some nice Star Treks and their gold key Star Treks with the photo covers and a lot of Silver Age comics and stuff, but I just didn't have the cash.
Whoa.
And so I kind of...
we were so strapped.
Yeah, because I asked, but he had a Cap 100 that looked to be pretty much in near mint condition, and I wanted to get it. And so I talked him out of it. I had him sell me a couple books from the collection. And but then I ended up selling the Cap, which I can't imagine why I did it, but I did.
It probably seemed like a good idea at the time.
Yes, it's always right. I had a nice Tomb of Dracula #1 in near mint that I sold about the same time. Oh, I remember. I was out of work. That's why.
Funny how that works.
Yeah.
It's in the shadows there, but can you see the Randy Bowen Dr. Doom on my top shelf there, right behind me?
Yeah.
That's the replacement one. I sold that once.
Oh, and then it ticks you off because then you got to pay more to get it, the new one, right?
Yeah. In all seriousness, I had a retailer friend, late Tommy Maletta, who got it back for me, and I was so happy that day. I took photos with him and the statue and everything.
Oh, we've taken photos with a check before. We were like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Okay, so let's do this last little bit, and then let's get to the meat and potatoes, if I may, of why you're here. Okay.
All right.
Let's find out what Shelley knows.
Okay, here we go.
So these are films.
Look, right?
These are, just don't really look at the sidebars or the things. You can look at the screen.
Okay, I'll look at my laptop.
Okay, because you're...
Okay, here we go.
Okay, so these are going to be films that have been remade. Okay. So the first one. Now, JC, here's what we're going to do. We're going to give her the shot to answer it. If she can't do it, we're going to go to you and see if you have the knowledge to save her.
Be ready.
Okay. This was a silent film classic.
Be ready. Okay.
That was remade. Now, here's the interesting thing about it, because generally when people remake films, they're usually worse, right? And if you remake a 4-star classic film, why are you doing that? Because it's going to most likely be worse. But in this case, this is a 4-star silent film classic remade in 1981, I think, by Werner Herzog, and it is also a 4-star classic. So both of them are 4-star classics, and it is in the horror genre.
Okay.
So can you
probably not.
Got any ideas?
Nope.
JC, you want to throw anything out there?
Nosferatu.
You are so right. Shelley, tell me here.
You suck. You suck so bad.
She hates that clip.
You're 5-star suckage.
As we usually say, don't be a Nosferatu, be a Yesferatu.
There you go. You go.
Somebody just launched a book. Nosferatu.
That's right. Narwhal. So he's got a Nosferatu. There's Nosferatu everywhere. I mean, it's just everywhere.
One would reasonably expect that to be true.
Yes.
Bad.
That was an accident. I didn't mean to.
It's so how I feel most mornings.
Oh, He does this to me.
She hates that clip. It just freaks her out. So I gotta
hate it. I hate it.
I just gotta,
By the way, Indino just said that I saw the chat, and no, I didn't. I actually wrote it down.
See, he wrote
nice.
it. It's like Jeopardy, right? You wrote it down. And, okay.
I wouldn't have got it before. But if you had shown that to me,
I know. Well, I wanted to wait.
Unprepared.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Here's the second.
You guys know he's in trouble.
This was a.
That's why you didn't want me to look.
I know. I didn't want to spoil the shocking surprise.
5-star suckage.
So this is a lot easier. But about 1985, 86, I want to say 85.
Try not to.
This is a classic comedy film.
Ooh, I have a chance.
That also deals with the supernatural. And it was then later, of course, recently remade, gender swapping it all into a female cast, and it bombed horribly. What movie could it have been, Shelley?
Ghostbusters.
It is Ghostbusters. Oh! And I've got a little visual aid to make up for the fact that we gave her Nosferatu. So we'll give her this.
You should feel bad.
A little, there you go. There it is, Ghostbusters with Harold Ramis, Bill Murray, and of course Dan Aykroyd. And then who was the fourth guy? Gosh darn it.
That guy.
Who was that actor? The fourth guy, Ernie.
Oh yeah.
Ernie something. Sorry, Ernie. If you happen to be watching, I'm really sorry.
Playing Winston Zeddemore.
What was that?
Playing Winston Zeddemore.
Yes.
Well, we know that part. Yeah, I'll look him up.
Yeah,
Ernie
we know
Hudson.
that Ernie Hudson. Thank you very much. So that was the actor's name, and then of course the character's name. Okay, so how about this one? Another silent film classic.
Oh, great!
Remade in 1959, starring Chuck Heston, winning him the Academy Award for Best Actor. It also won Best Picture that year. Shelley, what do you think it was?
10 Commandments.
It's kind of I was going to say kind of a biblical epic, but it's not 10 Commandments. She can't do it. She can't do it. JC, you got this, don't you? Ben-Hur.
Gosh.
Now, of course, 10 Commandments itself was a remake of a silent classic.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, which was?
By DeMille.
Right, that's what
he remade his own movie.
Oh, that's right. He did make the. That's right.
Did I get half credit?
No, because that wasn't the right answer.
Thanks, Jason. I mean, at least you had my back there for a minute.
We're looking for Ben-Hur, not 10 Commandments. If it was 10 Commandments, then he would have got credit.
Ethan.
Okay.
Ethan, where'd it
Ben-Hur over. Oh, that's terrible. I'm not even going to put that up there.
Oh, I'm laughing.
Yeah, she's laughing, but I'm not going to put that up there.
Oh,
such a potty mouth. Thanks for joining us, though, Ethan. I appreciate it. Okay, so here's the thing. He's probably chomping at the bit to go on right now, and he's like, "Will you hurry up so I can go on?" And I thank you for not, going over the top of my show and destroying it with your numbers, which you would do. So I appreciate it. He guessed the robe first, though. So,
well,
the robe was like the 1964-ish. So I'm just saying.
All right.
Okay, here we go.
Sorry. Stuff just comes out of my mouth sometimes.
Yeah.
One of my nicknames is No Filter.
Yeah. One of many nicknames.
It.
Okay, so here's our last one.
Oh, he's drawing.
Okay, so he's drawing?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Way to go, buddy. Okay, so 1935 was the original version.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Starred Clark Gable and
that one girl.
Charles Laughton.
Oh.
Then it was remade in 1962 with Marlon Brando and Trevor Howard. And then it was remade in 1984 with Mel Gibson and Silence of the Lamb dude. What's his name?
The Clarice.
Yeah. Anthony Hopkins.
There you go.
So it's been remade 3 times. I happen to like, the original version with. Did you cheat?
I did.
Did you know what it was?
No.
Do you know what it is, JC?
Mutiny on the Bounty.
Of course it is.
Bird on a Wire. I was thinking that one too, and then I was like, Lethal Weapon. Oh wait, no, that's not Anthony Hopkins.
Lethal Weapon.
Well, when you just said him,
I would like to say that my shtick was going to be if she got it wrong, I was going to say Lethal Weapon.
So you got it wrong and you stole his shtick. Oh my gosh. That's not how you treat guests on the show. Are you kidding me?
We should have prepped.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
Funny.
This is Clark Gable without the mustache. So this is actually a pretty good version. And I actually like
it's like somebody went to film school or something.
I'm not sure the Brando version's all that great, although I'm a big Brando fan. But then I did like the Mel Gibson version quite a bit. So
sorry, we got another needy
dog. Here we go. And the show's not even half over, and we got the dog causing us problems. All right. So enough of this foolishness.
I want to say before we get off of remakes, I'll throw one your way.
Okay.
Do you know that the Maltese Falcon that we all know was a remake of a movie made 6 years earlier?
But it wasn't called the Maltese Falcon.
But it was adapted from Hammett's book.
Yes, I do know that, but I couldn't tell you what the name of the film was.
And if you get the I don't know if it was the 75th anniversary, whatever anniversary it was, Blu-ray, it had the other movie with it. I've still never seen it.
Oh, cool.
I do remember hearing that when you brought it up. I was like, I have heard that, but I don't remember the name of the film. So now I'm gonna have to go check that out.
Yeah.
So that's a good one. That's actually a very good one.
That's a better look. I think.
Yeah, there's the puppy. Okay. Aww. So this is a big event for me, what we're about to do.
Oh my gosh, bucket list, baby.
Obviously the mystery artist who we're about to reveal is me. And this is, how many covers are you doing this year? 3?
There's like 109.
No. It's like that Frank Miller Batman book.
I can't truthfully, I can't really say, let's peg it at 4.
Okay. Well, see, I thought this was the last one, but it may not be the last one.
There is always a Hero Initiative cover, which isn't available in the direct market except through a handful of stores. It's only available as a fundraiser from Hero. And that's a very small print run book, but we haven't announced that yet.
Okay. All right.
But this freaking rocks.
I have to do this really, really quickly because since we're still on the film thing, let's get this out of the way. What Cary Grant film was remade by Marilyn Monroe as her final unreleased film, which had to be remade by Doris Day after Monroe's death?
Oh, Ethan, that's a great question. I don't know that.
Way to go, Ethan.
Oh my gosh. Because her last film was The Misfits with Clark Gable.
Yeah.
But so she had another film that was unreleased. She died before they finished it, and it had to be remade with Doris Day. Wow. Is that the, oh, wait a minute. Is that the one, the glass bottom boat? What's the name of that?
Sorry.
That's the best I can give you, Ethan. So you're going to have to give us the answer in the chat.
Throw me a bone.
Was it the girl in the glass bottom boat or something like that? Was that? Well, I guess we'll find out in a minute.
Mink? Hey, Tobias, thanks for your comment earlier. Love ya. Lethal Weapon, Henry.
Yes, that was it. It was Lethal Weapon. Of course. The birds, Serpico. Oh, the answers are coming in.
I love our chat so
now that
much.
might be Move Over Darling. That might be it. I don't know.
Man.
I don't know if Cary Grant film was called My Favorite Wife, remade as Something's Gotta Give by Marilyn Monroe. How about that?
And that was remade, wasn't it?
Wow.
Maybe Jack I read Nicholson the question. Something's Gotta Give? Yeah, wasn't that the
which was completed but more Move Over Darling by
Helen Hunt? And
Something's Gotta Give?
No, that was no. That was the one where he had it was something like that, the title, but okay, we're going.
Yeah, we're way off.
Yeah, we're getting
rabbit hole.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, let's get back on track, shall we?
Give the dog some attention and then I'll put him down.
He says in part 2 of that is it was completed as Move Over Darling by Doris Day. Okay.
This poor dog is just so attention starved all day long.
Yeah. But here it is. So should we just reveal it?
Well, I do want to say, what do you want to do? I think it's fitting that Ethan is in the audience, who clearly did on Overstreet 48, one of the best covers we've had in the last decade, the Green Lantern Flash cover. So having him in the audience doesn't hurt.
That's right.
Because this is pretty freaking cool.
Okay.
Oh, I'm gonna start crying.
Oh, here it is, ladies and gentlemen. Drum roll, please. We don't have one, but here is my cover, finally, that I've wanted to do since I was 12 years old. My cover to the Overstreet price guide.
Yay.
And of course, it features the 3 witches from EC Comics. And
the old witch, the Crypt Keeper, and the Vault Keeper.
Yes. And a tribute to Bill Gaines' 100th, basically, birthday anniversary since his birth would be this year. So it is the EC Bill Gaines tribute cover. And I penciled this, I inked it, and I colored it. And there it is.
And it is a freaking beauty. I told you privately, and I think I probably said publicly as well, someone would have done a price guide, but there wouldn't have been an Overstreet comic book price guide without EC. Bob is, to this day, a hardcore EC fan. And he loved this book. The Gaines family loved the book. Everybody thinks this is a great cover. And truthfully, the coloring, I didn't know you could do any better than the inked version. And the coloring blew me away. It's just wonderful.
Thank you so much.
And by the way, in your email, if you want to put it in your description for YouTube, we just put it secretly live and sent you the link. So if anybody wants to get it, and they have a choice between hardcover or softcover.
Wow. So this is actually, you can pre-order this right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's sort of news here too.
Oh my gosh!
Brought a tear to my eye.
Well, I want to show something else. Now, this is
a softie.
This is the trimmed version, correct? For what the soft cover would look like, right?
Yeah.
Now, you told me that because the hardcover, and let me show an example here real quick. This is last year's with a great Kevin Nolan cover, but this little extra, what is that? A quarter of an inch, half an inch almost?
It's like a quarter of an inch.
Yeah. So there's extra stuff over here. So they said, bleed it out wider so we can do one as a hardcover version. Sorry. So this is trimmed. So there's some little goodies off to the side that you're not going to see in the paperback version that you would see in the hardcover. So let me show you what the file.
That's cool. Yeah, let's show that, because I think
that's
to me, that's one of the fun things about looking at the guide covers and seeing what's different.
Yeah.
So there,
goodies.
So you can see I got the little Wrightson head up there with the spoon in it. That's a gag that he used in his coloring book in 1974. And we got the dead fish over here.
Yeah.
A couple of vials. You got the heart behind the tail.
That it's not a brain abnormal.
That's right. I should have done that.
Yeah.
Got a little dragon up here, eyeballs, bones. So but a little bit of detail over here on the side that you'll pick up if you get the hardcover that you wouldn't get with the paperback. So yeah, this is an absolute dream come true for me, because I started out, a lot of artists, the comic book artists, they're not real collectors, like I am. They're fans of the media. They might read some comics and things like that, or read comics growing up, but I collected them. And I was just talking on my show yesterday with Sequential Treasure that I had to split my money, because as a kid, I was buying comics off the rack at 7-Eleven, but then I would also find old bookstores that sold back issue comics, because this is before comic shops, and I would buy old comics as well, using the old price guide, baby, as a guide. And so I had money going into old comics as a collector would, as well as new comics as a reader would, and I also collected the new ones. But I'm going to sound like a little kid, but when I discovered this sitting in the bookstore at B. Dalton Bookseller in Washington Square, which is our big mall over here, as a kid, and I saw this book sitting on the shelf, I about freaked out. And I was flipping through it. I did. It was like the
heavens opened.
The heavens up, the light came down. And I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. And I got to see comics in here that I didn't even know had ever existed. And you're seeing stuff from World War II and so much history and so much pop culture history. And it was just amazing. And I would dream as a kid of saying, oh, maybe someday I'll get that comic, or maybe someday I'll own, that Hulk #6 or that National Comics number 26, which I own both of them now. but it was just, you got that excitement of going every Wednesday to 7-Eleven and seeing what was on the spinner rack, but then to also have that excitement of knowing what had come before and that search to go find it.
Yep.
You know, so
cool.
This is like full circle for me, where as a huge collector, and I told you this before on the last show, I have every price guide from number 5 and up. You know, so I collect the price guides. I mean, I have been a collector that long and steadily throughout my entire life. And to finally get to do a cover for one of the Overstreet price guides is just, I can't even describe it. And to be able to do something like EC Comics, which I was always a monster and horror fan, but then I discovered these characters in the price guide. You know, the old EC Comics, you're like, oh, check these out, Haunt of Fear and blah, blah, blah. I've got to find some of these.
If you can imagine this as that kind of collector that you just described yourself as, how Bob Overstreet, who's like, as a kid, going all over the place with his best friend, trying to get the better copies of ECs, looking for ones they never heard of before or never found before, and doing that. Imagine what it was like for him when he and Russ Cochran went when Bill Gaines broke out the Gaines file copies.
Oh,
literally,
some of those are like 9/6s.
When the vault was opened,
yeah,
they were
literally,
they with gloves on and looking at all of them.
Now,
I almost can't imagine that. And I mean, obviously working for Steve Jeppy, I've held a lot of really, really cool comics, and but I almost can't imagine that, particularly with my affinity for the ECs.
Oh, I would have freaked out. Can you imagine seeing a book that old, 1954, 56, and looking like it just came off the printer's press? You know, it would just blow me away. Wow. And do you know how many, did he have multiple copies of each issue or just like a couple?
Yeah, there's I think it was pretty consistent, except there's a few anomalies.
Okay. So those are all out on the market at this point, I would guess now, right?
Well, yeah, they absolutely were. And every once in a while you'll see some change hands. Usually when somebody sells some and there's a huge spike in prices, it'll bring a few more back to the marketplace.
Right.
But you know, a lot of collectors that have them have no intention of selling them until they are pried from their cold dead hands.
Right. Exactly. I think I have like 5 or 6 ECs in my collection is all, and I would love to get more, but they're pricey. And again, they're hard to find, especially in nicer condition.
And the other thing about this is that for people like me, and I'm not playing in that marketplace. In the case of the ECs, I'm a reader. I would gladly buy one if I stumbled across a bargain, but I love that these things are in print in so many different editions, reprints, individual issue reprints, little collected editions, hardcovers, the library versions. And, you know, we all owe Russ Cochran, who's no longer with us, but we really owe Russ a great debt of gratitude because, I mean, the guy was a professor at Drake University and quit to do EC reprints. I mean, that just, okay, first off,
Shelley will tell you there's no money in teaching. So
I know that's insane, but you know,
I know that's nuts.
Everybody who's an EC fan owes him.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning of this cover, and I want you to kind of explain the
sure, please,
the process. You contacted me initially about doing this and said you wanted some ideas from me about stuff that was in the public domain, so you wouldn't have to deal with trying to get licensing permission, which is just becomes more of a pain in the butt every month that goes by. And I threw out a couple of suggestions, but then I also said, you know, what about, you know, EC stuff? I don't know if we could get that or not. And you, of course, are friends. We'll go ahead and
Kathy Gaines Mifsud, who was Bill Gaines' daughter, and was for quite a while the head of the estate, and now her son Corey is the director. And we, you know, I reached out to them, hey, could we do this? And they, of course, they want to have an approval on it and everything else like that, as you would, because you want to protect your IP. But they were very amenable to it. And you came up with this sketch, and I was like ready to publish it because I'm just that happy with it. And And the thing is, anytime that I can, you realize I've said this, I probably said it on the last time I was on. Bob Overstreet's first 4 art covers, Don Newton, who later goes on, I mean, he's not anybody at that point, but he goes on to be a really significant Batman artist, in my opinion.
Yes.
Then we go Kubert, Eisner, Barks. This is the gauntlet that's down before me every year. Yeah. So on number 47, when I got Jim Steranko, on number 48, when Bob said that Green Lantern and Flash are among his favorite characters, and he was thrilled with Ethan's cover. Anytime that I get to do that and Bob's feedback is glowing, I'm a sucker for that, just like I am for my cat purring. I just, whatever I need to do to make that happen. And it really, honest to goodness, I knew immediately that Bob was going to love this because of his affinity for EC. And I also suspected that everybody else on the staff would, and they did.
I mean, just to hear that is just, it's just wonderful. But Randy Howell throws me a Canadian $5. Thank you so much, Randy. I really appreciate it. He says, I like what you did with that Bill Gaines stone decoration. It looks like a lock to a vault. Solve the riddle and you can enter the treasure trove.
And get a Gaines file copy, man.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the interesting thing is I had a bunch of different, one of them, with all of them in a graveyard, and we were going to have I had a gravestone with Bill Gaines' name on it, but I thought that was too morbid. We're supposed to be celebrating his life and achievements, not, hey,
the only thing I can say is that it is a crowd that dark humor could sort of go over with.
Yes.
So we probably could have done that, but this is better.
Yeah. And so I thought, well, and then the other idea was to have all these witches in like a library or something, and then have something that was something about that, maybe on a book or something, the life of Bill Gaines, 100th or something like that. But I thought that's not enough. That's more like an inside joke. You got to look to find it. And I thought, why would these witches be in a library? They would be in they would be creating something in a pot with gross stuff hanging around. And that's when I came up with the idea, well, what if Bill Gaines were, this sort of monument behind him overlooking his creation as you and I thought that might work. And that's where I came up with this. Now, the first design of Gaines was a little maybe too sinister. His daughter didn't think I'd really captured Gaines. And so you sent me a bunch of photographs, or she sent you a bunch of photographs, and you sent me the photographs.
Yeah.
And I really initially I wanted Gaines looking down over them, but I didn't really have a good shot of him. And I was really concerned of him doing that from that angle. And I was really concerned about her approving the likeness, right? So I just kind of did more of a straight on thing where he's looking at the reader, which I think works perfectly fine as well. And
it sort of fits his public persona.
Right. He certainly was never a sinister character or a creepy character. That was the thing that was so great about him, is he was so jovial and always this, happy-go-lucky seeming guy just producing these really morbid comics that were actually quite clever. They weren't just gross. They were clever comics, which a lot of the imitators in the 50s, which really got them in trouble. It wasn't EC comics that were really started the whole Wortham thing. It was all the knockoffs, because the knockoffs were really violent and gross, where his were actually very clever.
Yeah.
And always had sort of a really sort of dark humor to them, and very witty.
You can find the obvious handful of covers that were salacious for their era.
Right.
They are certainly not by modern standards.
Right.
And so understand a little bit of uproar,
right?
But not the witch hunt.
No, I mean, there was so many of those injury to eye panels and just people just being tortured on the cover. And the one you're thinking of course, is the one where it shows the guy holding up his wife's head. Right, you see these overalls, and he has the bloody axe in his hand, and her body's on the ground, but you don't see where the neck was cut off. It drops below the cover, and you don't see where her head was chopped off in the cover. It's pushed off panel. So it's gross, but it's more an insinuation.
My first comic story was called You Axed for It, and it was totally inspired by that.
You axed for it.
Yeah, it ended up seeing print as one of those mother-daughter things in bedtime stories for impressionable children, which is one of my books. And great art, Gene Gonzalez pencils, Mark Wheatley inks. It was everything I thought it could be, but I was like 20 years more mature to write it than when I came up with it. When I came up with it in the first year of junior college,
right?
And what's funny is what gave me the jazz to do it was Tales of Terror by Bruce Jones.
Oh yeah.
And
Pacific Comics in the early 80s.
When I was just starting out, I saw some EC reprints and I didn't know that other people knew about EC. And then a few years later, of course, I'm working in retail, and all of a sudden I know lots of people know this stuff. So, this is a great question from Mr. Bemis there.
Look at that. Yeah, I know. 1980. Action number one.
In Overstreet 1, it's $300.
What's that?
In Overstreet number 1, it's $300.
Yeah, $300, and now it's well over $1 million, depending on the condition, right?
Yeah, it's like it's pretty much you're pretty much looking at a baseline of a complete comic. It can be in pour, and you'll pull in a minimum of 5 figures, if not 6.
Yeah, because I think the 9.0 that has gone around sold for $3.5 million, and somebody owns the Mile High copy, which they claim is at least a 9.4. It's not graded.
I know multiple people who have seen it, and I know who has it, and
that's a $10 million book.
I know
it's
that
gotta be.
You have to think that it is, I've always thought that and according to the people who know better, and I don't, the Bethlehem copy of Detective 27.
Oh, that's right.
The Mile High Action 1 and the Bethlehem Detective 27 were considered to be unapproachable by the other books.
Right. Oh, can you imagine?
Yeah, I actually can. It's horrible.
I'd be like, sell it.
No, here's the thing. If I had an Action Comics number 1, I'd sell it.
Yeah.
If I had a Detective 27, I'd sell it. The book I would keep would be Captain America Comics number 1.
Yeah,
that's the one I would keep.
Where did we peak on that? $940,000 on the last one.
I think so.
It was high grade. Yeah. And I don't think it was any kind of failure that it had hit $1 million, because I know it will.
Yes. And yeah. And if it went up for auction right now, it probably would.
We've got coming up the pay copy of Marvel Comics 1.
Was that a 9.2?
I think, it was really funny when we sold it at the Diamond Galleries, and because my office, even though I never worked for the gallery, my office was in Diamond International Galleries. I saw that, and that was a sweet book, but I think that was before it was graded.
Yeah, my son pointed that out to me. It's on Comic Link right now, and it is a 9.2, but there's writing all over it. And I was like, boy, they're being pretty generous with this 9.2, just because it's production writing as opposed to
it is literally
my son writing on it.
What the people were paid for each story.
Yeah, it's very cool. But there's writing on the cover.
It came out of the files. I think it's the files. And I was trying to look into this last week, and I couldn't get very far. I think it's from Lloyd Jacquet's Funnies Inc.
Mm-hmm.
That produced that for Timely. And
that sounds right.
I think it's out of his file copy, and I think that's why the problem.
Well, yeah, I guess I can see that, but I mean, the copy that clean is that's remarkable for that book, because that was 30. Was that 38 or 39?
39.
Yeah, so I mean, that's an old book.
It's absolutely stunning.
Yeah,
along with the $25 that Frank R. Paul got paid for the cover.
Okay, so anyway, getting back to this real quickly before I move on to the next stage. So I sent you this with this is a cleaned up pencil. I still haven't put in all the kind of like gross stuff on the shelves yet, but you had an indication of what was coming. And so this I sent to you, and this is the one that got approved. And somebody had a really good joke in here that I wanted to, where was the eyeball thing?
Oh, you put.
Oh yeah, I saw that too.
Oh yeah, he said the eyeballs in the jar. They no matter where you look, they're looking at you. That was pretty funny. Okay, so then I took this and I didn't. I don't think I sent you. Maybe I sent you a finished pencil, but I couldn't find it in my file. So maybe I just inked it. I think I probably just inked it.
I gotta look around because I thought you did. Oh no. You're right. The revised pencils, and I think we went inks after that.
Yep. So anyway, here's what the inks look like, and so I sent that to you, and you guys were like really thrilled with it. So I was just, which warmed my heart because I was like, you never know, right? And then you guys were just like, oh, this is awesome, I love it, and I was like, whew. And and so then, of course, after getting the approval, the okay from you guys on this, then I'll just go ahead and bring this up one more time just for the heck of it. I went ahead and colored this baby in Photoshop. And I don't do a ton of coloring. I color like covers and I cover single illustrations and stuff because I'm so slow. Not to bore everybody with technique, but if you look at the marble technique on Bill Gaines up there, what I do is I create shapes with the lasso tool, and then I use fades and I layer them over the top like you would watercolors to create that more of a richness, and it just takes a long time. And I do that all the time. And it's a more, I don't like overdone coloring. We see a lot of that. But I do like detail in the coloring, but I don't like it oversaturated. So I treat it like watercolor, slowly build up till I get to a point where it looks the way I want it to look. And then, then I move on.
And one of the things with your background elements in that, while the stonework is borderline monochromatic in each of its sections, I think it has the effect of making their individual cloaks, all jump out.
Well, thank you. That's the idea, is to go in there when you're coloring, and if you saturate everything, then it's all one big mess, right? So I had to go in and mess around with the darkness in the background. In fact, I did do this when I originally colored it. A lot of times my backgrounds will be too dark or too saturated. And then you say, you squint your eyes or you turn the whole file into gray tones. And if everything blends together and all the grays are the same value, then you've screwed up. So then you can go back in and lighten the background and do what you need to do to get that separation.
I see a comment from past master Dan who says he sees no Atari Force reference at all, and clearly he's not looking hard enough.
No, it's all over the place in there. No, he actually knows that the Atari Force.
You busted me on it last time I was on.
Yeah, it's you would have to give me such a sizable bonus for me to do an Atari Force cover. That not that I actually hate Atari Force, but it's just that I hate Atari Force. So
that's a long,
but nothing to do with Garcia Lopez, because I love his work. But let's see. What was this? Aaron should just start lettering and be a one-man show. There you go. It'd be like lettering now is all
actually
on computer.
What we're looking at right now, you did letter.
I did the Overstreet price guide comic book.
There's a little bit from the trade dress, the numbering and stuff like that Mark Huseman, our editor for print, put on. But otherwise, that's all Aaron.
Yeah, and you know what I learned how to do? Because I learned in commercial art very early on. My boss told me, he said, always say yes and figure out how you're going to do it later, right? Don't ever turn a job down. And so, not that I would have turned this job down, but part of me was like, man, do I want to deal with the lettering and all this stuff? Because I didn't know how to bend the lettering around a circle. So I went to YouTube to find out how to do that, and then implemented it here on this cover. So it forced me to go learn something new.
How cool is that?
Yeah. And just thankful that there's YouTube videos out there that I could go in 5 minutes, learn how to do it, instead of going, what am I going to do?
I use them all the time because I have to teach stuff that part of me has never learned. And so I have to teach myself in order to teach the kids. I'm constantly YouTubing it.
I want to go back to this will be a little self-serving for Overstreet. But I do want to go back to this for a minute because this cover totally fits in with what we do. And it totally belongs on the cover of the Overstreet Comic Book Price Guide. But you realize you're in there with the guys I mentioned before, Barks and Eisner and Kubert and Wally Wood and Alex Schomburg and Murphy Anderson and Carmine Infantino and Joe Simon and Moby Cole. And just think of the guys to do that. And the modern guys like Mark Chiarello and J.G. Jones and
Ethan Van Sciver.
And
there you go.
And I think not only does this cover put you in their company, you deserve to be in the company of those guys. I'm really proud that we have continued to make this a bucket list item for artists and find people such as yourself who freaking nail it.
Thank you so much. That's so kind of you. I really appreciate that. And it's just, I mean, if I can tell you how heartbroken I would have been if I said it into you and you guys were like, yeah, okay, we can work with this, like, oh, great. So the fact that you guys love it, that, we do. And we firmly suspect that everybody will. My friend Marty Grosser is the editor of Previews. And I had posted about the other covers up to this point the other day. And Marty goes, I want the EC one. And I deleted the comment and hey, it's me on the ECA. So you already got a vote from the editor of Previews, man.
Wow, that's
awesome. Thank you.
Want to go back to Randy.
Well, hang on a second. Okay. Something needs to be taken care of here. So what Aaron is saying is that he's been copying David Williams by looking at David's videos. Jeff, copy that. All right. So Shelley, what did you say that you wanted
to? Didn't realize that. I think it was up, honey. Oh gosh, this one, Randy.
I didn't realize the old witch was so dainty. She has her pinky extended while stirring the cauldron.
She does.
But here's the thing.
Pointy nail.
That's another little thing I picked up from Wrightson. Wrightson used to do that all the time. And that's just a Wrightsonism that I picked up from him. There was, here we go. Mr. Vaughn, there's some respect. Mm-hmm. Would you mind putting my copy of JLI #1 that Aaron did in there for $250 million? It's even signed, much obliged.
Well, under normal circumstances,
see what I can do.
Under normal circumstances, of course I'd say yeah, but again, I don't have anything to do with the pricing.
Darn it.
Old man says in the 80s, I always had an Overstreet guide when I went to the comic store. I have one next to my desk right now. Look at that.
So do you.
And I think that's true. That's true for a lot of folks. I know there are a few comments in there. I haven't got one in years. Well, that's fine too. Welcome back. People are gonna pick this book up because of this cover. And from my perspective, whatever gets them in the door is fine.
Right.
It's our job to give them a good book then.
Right.
I gotta say before I get too far away from it, which is real early in this, Jay Dredd made a comment that he liked my vampire PA. And I know I'm here to talk about Overstreet stuff, but I'm going to self-serve here for a minute.
No, do it.
Because he said we need more. More is on the way. The new issue will be called Al Capone Vampire. And it'll be a either 3 or 4 issue miniseries. I'm really hoping that if we crowdfund it, we could do a double issue for #2. #1 is penciled and inked. We're starting on #2, and when we have #2 in hand, we'll crank these things out. I'm real excited about it. It's going to be a lot of fun, and it will continue things from the last one, which was called Vampire PA: Bite Out of Crime.
There is so much cool stuff happening in the indie market, both in Comicsgate and outside of Comicsgate. But there's just a lot of really cool stuff going on.
There really is. In all seriousness, I can say this as a fan and as a creator, you are excited to support projects that, okay, this may sound redundant, but projects that excite you.
Yes, exactly. But no, it makes sense.
I feel we are in a golden age of creativity. I've that I've worked with Billy for years, and I've edited stuff for him. And matter of fact, after the next one shot in the Return of the Warrior saga, I'm actually writing one with Billy, which we haven't done for a few years. And
exciting.
To me, it's like really exciting because Billy didn't know when he launched Return of the Warrior if people were ready for She 15 years later. They grew up, and I'm like, there's so many people, and there's a lot of evidence for this. Comic companies don't want their characters to grow up; they want them to be perpetually young, and then they do a reboot when it's been long enough and it's still the young character and all that kind of stuff like that. Billy takes his character and makes her a mom, and tries to throw that on top of everything else. I mean, that's so cool. And you look, I was looking through Ethan's book of the stuff of the Cyber Frog from the 90s.
Yes.
And you realize it was already cool, but what he's done with it since then, just explosive. And you get a long wait between issues, but you get it, man. This is work that a creator has poured their heart and soul into. Billy's doing the same thing. Other people are doing the same thing. Jimmy Palmiotti does stuff that he doesn't do the same thing every time. Almost every time, it's almost a different genre every time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so excited to see these people doing that. And it's not that any of them are afraid to work for the mainstream publishers. It's just nobody's looking for this level of creativity. They want another Batman book.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they want to push their IPs, and they don't care about.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
I get that, right? Yeah. Okay. Let me ask you a question that I didn't ask before when I had you on last time, and then I want to play a game with you after you answer this question.
No pressure.
Okay, very, very good. There's one more thing. Sequential Treasures there has a great question.
Oh, about hey JC, how about letting Dan Lawless have a shot at an Overstreet cover?
Yes. That's not something that I see happening today, but that's as far as I'll go.
Mm-hmm.
That's as far as he'll go. So look out.
I will just say, if you've seen what he's been doing, he belongs on the cover.
Oh yeah, the story I just saw a page from his Two-Fisted Manly Tales he's doing with Graham Nolan, and I love his colors. They're so rich and vibrant.
Have you seen any of this story he illustrated for me?
I don't think I have. No.
Oh yeah, there's a great page on my Facebook page, and it is
check it out.
We're Scott Braden, and who's actually my co-author on the Overstreet Lost Universes book, has a character called Kent Menace, and we did a 8-pager about what is becoming his arch foe, and they handed us a character design and a name, and everything else. I did the script, Dan ran with it, and it is top 2 or 3 pieces that I've ever had illustrated.
Really? Okay, yeah. I'm going to check it out. So you got it on your Facebook page, you say?
Yeah, on my my JC Vaughn page. It's near the top.
Okay, cool. All right. So this is just a price guide question.
Okay.
And then we'll get to this fun little thing that we'll see if Shelley can play too. We don't want to.
Oh, great! I'll be your backup, but you won't need me.
No,
okay.
I know it's an opinion thing. It's not like a trivia thing. Okay.
Well, in that case, I could definitely get it wrong.
I don't know how you would do this, and maybe that answers the question already before I ask it. But you see one level of prices for books that are raw, but then you see there's a different market for graded books.
Yeah.
The percentage is higher, and maybe that's just to make up for the fact that you got to pay $100 to get it slabbed or whatever.
Okay.
Are you guys thinking in terms of having not necessarily a CGC price guide, but a graded books price guide, as opposed to what, this is standard price guide is basically for raw books.
Yes.
So are you guys thinking about doing something like that where it would be like for CGC books?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, then how about that? Now, can you elaborate or not?
Not yet. Very, very soon.
Okay. All right. Like soon, like this year, or soon
like
next
this year?
Okay. All right. Okay. I think I know where that's going to be, what you've got that tucked in with and why you can't talk about it. So, okay. All right. Now here's a game. I guess we'll call it a game. I played with David Williams, and this is just an opinion thing, but it is kind of fun. Because you're a 70s guy, right? You know 70s characters, right? All right. So I'm going to give you a choice. And you just tell me which one you prefer. Okay.
Okay.
Here's the first one. Not the issue, but the character. Conan or Cole?
That's a good question. I think I would go for Cull, and I think I did in the 80s. Went for Cull because there was so much less material than Conan, and I felt like I was way behind on Conan. It's this, like, it would be even more clear cut if you said to me Conan or King Conan, because I got on King Conan #1.
I see.
And so that's my quick answer.
Okay, well, just to throw out, I'm a Cole guy too, and the thing I liked about Cole over Conan was Cole started out as a king, and I always liked this idea that he was like this barbarian with a heart of gold, and he had sort of these barbarian instincts, but he still had to rule over this kingdom and be responsible. And it was like this, the pressure and the weight, you still had this kind of adventure, although like, unlike Conan, who could travel all over the place and gets all kinds of trouble, Cole was usually defending his throne and his kingdom. But I just felt like there was an air of, I don't know, sophistication to the character that Conan didn't have. And I love Conan, but I always was a Cole fan. And that partly was probably John Severin too, who inked Maurice Severin.
Hard to go wrong there.
Yeah. And by the way, I saw this cover in Mike Plug's house. I think he's since sold it, I believe, but in the early 90s when I visited him when he was still living up in Seattle, he had this cover hanging on his wall. So I tried to steal it, but he caught me. So what are you going to do?
Got to work on that speed.
Okay, here we go. Here's our next one. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Bring it.
Darkseid or Thanos?
Darkseid, but done by Marvel artists.
Yeah. Sorry, I spit. I laughed. I'm big.
If you look at Simonson's Darkseid and X-Men Teen Titans, that really made me go back and take a look at some of the other stuff. And honestly, I love Kirby's. Don't get me wrong, absolutely. But overall, in the hands of anybody else, I think some of the DC artists have done some really weird jobs on that. An exception, the Great Darkness saga, Keith Giffen. I love that, which is not my usual style of Darkseid that I like. But yeah.
So you're going to go Darkseid? You're telling me?
Yeah, which is really weird because I am through and through a Marvel kid. Yeah,
me too. But I tend to, I gained an appreciation for Kirby much later. You know, as a kid, I didn't really get him, but I'm going Darkseid as well. As much as I loved Starlin's run on Captain Marvel with Thanos and everything, I would still lean Darkseid. Shelley, what do you think? Darkseid or Thanos?
Yes.
There you go. She's not picky. She'll take either one.
You know, it was funny. I was meeting with Steve Jeppy very recently, and he had as he usually does. He had a pile of comics there, and I noticed a run of Logan's Run sitting there, and I go, "You got number 6?"
Yeah, exactly. The Thanos.
Only Thanos.
And Mike Zack. That was a very early Zack job. Okay, Ghost Rider or Werewolf by Night?
Ghost Rider.
Yeah, probably for the superhero thing. I have to admit, though, I bought one issue of Ghost Rider when I was a kid, but I did collect Werewolf by Night.
Well, of course you did. You're the monster dude.
So but Ghost Rider is kind of a monster.
Yeah, absolutely.
But not a classic monster.
That's true.
And truthfully, if I had seen that motorcycle first rather than the Skull Cycle, I probably would have gone Werewolf by Night.
There you go.
But I thought the Skull Cycle was incredibly cool.
Yeah, his motorcycle got cooler. So yeah, I'm Werewolf by Night, just barely though. Okay, here we go. This is okay. No, no, I had to take a minute to remember why I did it this way, but you'll see in a second. I was like, well, it's the same thing, but it isn't. Do you like Luke Cage Hero for Hire? Or do you like Luke Cage Power Man?
Man, I have a friend who has a good chunk of original art from like the first set, like like several of the early issues. I tend to gravitate more toward Power Man. That cover on 17 is just phenomenal.
It is.
But all that said, is I way prefer Power Man and Iron Fist.
Okay, I go with Luke Cage Hero for Hire because I always thought it was really cool that there was this superhero who charged for his services.
Yeah,
I thought that was really cool.
Listen, it's a great concept. It's never been fully explored,
right?
And there's lots of room in there for great stories.
Yeah, I mean, and you think of the character, guy's wrongly imprisoned. He gets out, so he's pissed off. And he gets the superpowers and now he can do something, but it's like, I'm not doing this for free. Are you kidding me? And I thought, what a great way. Why don't more superheroes charge and they wouldn't be, looking for money all the time? But I mean, there's also that moral conundrum, right? Where it's kind of like, well, I'm going to help you, but you got to pay me to help you. Yeah. But it's no different than a private detective, right? So I don't know. I loved that concept so much. And so that was my favorite Luke Cage was when he was the hero for hire.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. We got some more monster stuff coming up because, well, you're talking to me, so that's what you're going to get. Okay. Oops. Let's try that again. All right. So, Morbius or Brother Voodoo?
I'm a latecomer to Brother Voodoo.
Okay.
I still would gravitate to Morbius. I first discovered him in the Marvel Tales reprints. But I think I gravitate that direction.
It's interesting. I was a big Spider-Man fan, so I first discovered Morbius in the pages of Spider-Man 101. And but I will tell you this, for some reason, do you remember that there was a newspaper called the Monster Times?
Sure.
Okay. They would occasionally, or probably more often than occasionally, they would run articles on comic books that had to do with, the supernatural or monsters or whatever, like the Spectre or whoever. And I saw a couple of covers for Brother Voodoo in there, and I just thought there was something inherently cool looking about the character, and maybe it was because this is a Romita cover, but the other ones were Gil Kane, which are really super cool.
Oh yeah.
And so I sort of tend to gravitate a little bit more towards Brother Voodoo. I don't like his current incarnation where he's wearing a suit, and he's got the white in his hair, and I like the Haitian kind of island look that he had there. It just, I don't know, more exotic or something, I guess.
Yeah, no, I get that. I'm sure that for the readers who like it, the current version has its charm. I don't get it. But that said, there was distinctly something about that. And you mentioned Gil Kane. So
right. And a ton of times the cover artist went a long way to convincing you that was a character you liked.
Oh yeah.
All right, here you go. 2 books that came out about the same time, Ms. Marvel and Nova. And if I'm not mistaken, both first issues were drawn by John Buscema. And I know Ms. Marvel, about the first 4 issues were Buscema. And I'm trying to remember how many he did of Nova before it was switched over. I think Carmen Infantino took over. Yeah. There might have been some other artists in between there, but out of these 2, which one do you like?
Nova. I love the character, and it's for the weirdest, stupidest reason.
Oh yeah, can you share it?
Yeah, I could struggle out a torso. I couldn't do legs. So the way he flew, the way he looked when he flew.
Yeah.
I could almost draw Nova.
Okay, so there you go. I remember when this first came out, and this is when I'd figured out the whole comic book thing, and I would go to the Minute Mart or whatever it was I was getting the books at, and the lady that worked there said, "Yeah, the comic books come in Wednesday afternoon," and so I would go right after school on Wednesdays, and they would still be bound up, right? And she'd cut them loose for me, and I'd look through and take whatever I wanted first before she put them on the spinner rack and bent all of them. And I remember when that came out, because you didn't know it was coming out then.
No.
Right. And
unless you had discovered the comic reader,
right,
or other things like that, you never knew what was coming.
Right. Let me jump on this real quick.
Yeah.
Jimmy Owen sent me $5. Thank you so much, Jimmy. I appreciate it. Can't stay amid the chat long as I'm sick and going to bed.
Oh, no.
Sending support and hope Shelly is feeling better today as well. Thank you so much, man.
Just
That's
took
awesome.
some pain meds, so I'll be better in a bit.
So, and you get well too, Jimmy. Appreciate it, man, very much. So I'm a Nova guy as well. Although I did draw Ms. Marvel in her later attire with the black boots and everything that most people know her from. And I did enjoy that quite a bit.
What's really fun is Nova was actually getting really good, and I wasn't a big Carmine fan at that point in my life.
Me either.
But the stories were getting so good, and the stories in Ms. Marvel really were getting good, and both of them got canceled.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because he actually had a decent little gallery of villains there, like Diamond Head and the Sphinx and some other ones that just showed up. It was actually pretty cool. And they were trying to make him kind of like a Spider-Man type character. Ronnie Raymond was the guy's name. Peter Parker. He was a high school student, the whole thing. But I was really cool because when that stuff came out, you felt like, okay, I wasn't there for Spider-Man #1, but I'm here for Nova #1.
Exactly.
Right? Okay, how about this? A couple more, and then we'll wrap this show up. But I got to get your opinion on these. Master of Kung Fu or Iron Fist?
Man, that is really difficult. I think of them. I know we would easily say both are martial arts books. I had a handful of Master Kung Fu. You'd get them in a trade or nothing else without that week or something else like that. And then Zek's cover on 83, which is sort of a movie poster montage with Fu Manchu in the background, Shang-Chi in the foreground.
Yes.
And I literally remember I was at a place called the Village Newsstand, which was out back of South Hills Village Mall. And I was like, crap, now I'm going to collect that. And I had to figure out what had to give.
Okay.
And so I was on for the rest of the run, which I think it ends around 121 or something like that.
Yeah. That book lasted a long time.
I've got all 4 omnibuy, and I learned very quickly an appreciation of Gulacy.
Yes.
Even though I was pretty much Zek and Jean Day, and then Jean Day.
Right.
Iron Fist, when it gets to its own series, is just such a phenomenal book.
Mm-hmm.
I find, and
is that Claremont that wrote that too?
Dan Green inking, maybe.
That sounds about right. Did Claremont write that? I think he did, didn't he?
Yeah, and there was an absolute amount of synergy between that and the X books, and you get to like the later issues. You got Captain America, which is a great issue. You got Sabretooth.
Yes.
There's just so much great stuff.
Mm-hmm. Well, I gravitated to Iron Fist simply because he had a costume, and so he was more like a superhero to me when I was a kid. So I like that, and I like the Byrne stuff. But I always marveled at how nice the Master of Kung Fu covers were. Whether it was Zek or Gulacy, I was just like, these are really cool looking. But because he wasn't a superhero,
like I said, that cover on 83, and also I also have a little bit of, and by the way, J Dredd, the Netflix series was crap. The great thing for me, and this is nostalgia, about Master of Kung Fu was my brother read it. And my brother's not, he's not anti-comics or anything like that, but he wasn't a comic book guy. He read my comics, but that one he read. That and Badger.
Well, that's interesting. Well,
he would imitate that. He would call people Larry, then denied he did it. He loved that gag.
Well, I'll tell you, I didn't get to be, obviously a Master of Kung Fu is based on Bruce Lee and Bruce Lee movies of those 70s. And I didn't really get into those until like later in life.
Sure.
So that's probably why this didn't resonate with me as much as Iron Fist did, being more of a superhero book. Collector Express says, after the stream, I'm going to do a little more work on my custom sludge figure that I'm making. Are you the one that was posting? Someone is doing a sludge sculpt. Now, are you taking an action figure and redoing it into sludge, because then that would be something different, but it's still very cool and can't wait to see it.
I like Henry Bemis's comment there about meeting Paul Gulacy. I had Paul do a Captain Action cover for the price guide, and it was number 45, and it is every bit as badass as Paul Gulacy doing Captain Action should be.
No, wait a second. That there must have been multiple covers, right?
Yeah, because
I don't think I have that one.
Listen, okay. Anytime I've got an anniversary, and you know us as comic book fans, even if you went away from something, you're going to go back for an anniversary issue, right?
Right.
So I add extra covers when there's a 5 or when there's a 5 or a 0. I do it, and the chances are that the extra covers are about my taste rather than I think specifically what's going to sell like crazy.
Well, any excuse, right, to do extra covers, you're going to jump on it, and I fully support
not any excuse, but
a decent excuse.
Yeah,
a reasonable excuse.
Yeah, Captain.
All right,
Captain,
here you go.
Easily Captain Marvel. I never got Warlock till later.
I picked up Warlock very early, and I didn't understand it. And
that's me, man.
But it was the Starlin art, both of them by Starlin, and I just thought that the shiny belt he had looked cool, and but I'm with you. I'm Captain Marvel.
I like I love the trail, like almost the ion trail from Captain Marvel flying.
Yes, that was always
so different than other superheroes that I really dug that.
But I did buy this issue when it came out because I liked the art. I thought it was really drawn cool. And I remember reading it just going, I don't know what's going on. I can't figure this out. So I don't know that I got an issue after 9, but I did pick that up. I do have them all now, of course. But all right, now this is going to get a little bit tougher for you. We got 2 more to do.
All right.
This is hard for me because I love these both for different reasons. But there you go. Swamp Thing or Man Thing?
Gotta say that it's probably the distinct minority, but Man Thing. Not by a lot, because and Swamp Thing also varies greatly by who the creative team is.
Well, let's just talk. We're talking 70s. We're talking the first 10 issues, basically.
Then Swamp Thing is really hard to beat. But again, the default setting is I'm a Marvel guy.
This is tough for me because I'm such a Wrightson fan, as you know, and as everybody knows. And this book, I love this book to death. But from an artist standpoint, I like drawing Man Thing better than I like drawing Swamp Thing. And maybe it's because every time I draw Swamp Thing, I can never do it as good as Wrightson did it. So I'm just kind of like,
pretty freaking strong standard.
Yes. And so Swamp Thing to me, or Man Thing, I've always enjoyed drawing Man Thing more than Swamp Thing. And I know what comments are going to start coming up in the chat that Aaron likes to draw the Man Thing more than, sure. Anyway, so it's really hard for me to say that because I love Swamp Thing, but I just, Man Thing's visuals for some reason were just more interesting to me. And I started buying Man Thing off the rack before I ever discovered Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing I missed out on because this was 72, I think.
Yeah, and in all seriousness, I passed up Swamp Thing because I was really the only DC I read initially, the Batman stuff.
Yeah, I was not. I didn't get into it until later. I discovered these after the fact at the old comic shop, and I loved them. Buying back issues of Swamp Thing, but I'd always bought Man Thing right off the cover, so I kind of felt more connected to it as a reader than I did Swamp Thing, which I found out later. Chris Green sent me $4.99. Thank you, Chris, very much. I appreciate that. Love your work. I'm the one who found your Topps Xena book from Twitter. Oh, been posted recently. Thank you so much for that.
Okay. Now this is really weird. I didn't know you did Xena, huh? At Topps.
I wrote and drew Xena 0, and then I wrote and drew a miniseries, Xena Bloodlines, which was just a 2-issue miniseries where she goes to Egypt and there's a mummy. And
totally forgot about that. Yeah. Now what's funny is Xena at Topps was literally the fastest story I've ever had accepted.
Oh, really?
Publisher, and then they lost the license. Like they literally called me and they said, "What do you think about us having Jim Silk do the covers?"
Oh, that would have been cool.
Yeah, it would have been cool.
Henry Bemis says, "Giant size man thing jokes incoming." Yeah.
Like we didn't know that was coming, right?
Right.
All right, here's your last one.
All right.
I don't know if this, well, yeah, I guess this would constitute being, because they're both created in the 70s, so this still counts. But they didn't really find their voice until the 80s and 90s. But here you go. That's a David Williams Wolverine cover, by the way. And a Mike Zeck Punisher poster, I think.
Would say the Punisher. If we just go with
that's my dog.
If we just go with the Frank Miller, Chris Claremont, Joe Rubenstein miniseries, then I'm going to default to Wolverine, because that, to me, that was just like such a moment in comics.
Mm-hmm.
That's the 80s, though. I think the early Punisher graphic novels and Punisher comics aren't as good as the Punisher appearing as a supporting character in Spider-Man and elsewhere.
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
That said, I love the character. I just think when we get to the point that there's 2 Punisher books or 5 Punisher books or 27 Punisher books, you're probably having too many adventures of a character who is an anti-hero.
Yes. I really liked the Stephen Grant, Mike Zeck miniseries. That kind of pulled me in. Now, again, being a Spider-Man fan, I'm familiar with the Punisher from his appearances in Spider-Man, so I was aware of the character. I was never much of an X-Men reader, so I never really got into Wolverine as a character, and I knew more about the Punisher. And that miniseries that Zeck and Stephen Grant did, I thought was really good, and that sort of pulled me in. So I would, by the narrowest of margins, I would go with the Punisher as well.
Okay.
So there you have it. Well, how about that? That's your 70s showdown. I like to pull that out every once in a while and see what different people think about those classic characters. JC, I want to thank you so much for joining me and Shelley today to premiere that cover. And I want to thank you again for allowing me to do it. I just, again, thrilled to death. I got to get you a quote. I wanted to ask you the quote that you want from me. I mean, are we talking like one sentence, couple sentences?
Couple of sentences, 3, like top out around 3.
Okay.
But,
all right. I just want to make sure.
In all seriousness, I can't imagine that anybody that likes your work, anybody that likes EC, will not gravitate to this cover. And it's nothing against any of the other covers. I just think you so nailed the subject matter that's an easy thing for me to say.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And I appreciate you coming on to do this and allowing me to premiere it on my channel. I thought that was awesome. I just thank you. That was all your idea, coming to me and saying, "Hey, would you like to do this?" And I really appreciate it.
What happened is I had such a great time the last time I was on and talking comics, and the conversations we've had in between now and then. It seemed like a great fit.
Well, you had brought up, we'll just tease the audience a little bit. You brought up that you guys got some stuff coming up here in the spring. And if you want to come on and you want to bring Jeppy with you, or just you solo to talk about it, anytime, just let me know.
I will be glad. I'll be glad to let you know, man, and would be very glad to be back on.
Great. Awesome. Well, everybody in the chat, thank you guys for joining us.
Thanks,
I would,
absolutely. Yes. Thanks.
I would ask you to please like and subscribe if you haven't already to the channel, so that we can continue to grow and I continue to get great guests like JC Tex Vaughn on to come on and talk to me.
And you guys are going to put the link in the description.
Yes.
Yep, absolutely. Phenomenal. Second we're done. And then please check out the links to Wraith of God, Truth, Justice, American Way, and Graham Nolan's giant-sized Two-Fisted Manly Tales. They're all on Indiegogo right now, and would all benefit from your support. And so we just appreciate all you guys, because we couldn't do this if you weren't there to watch it. So thanks for joining us, and we will see you guys soon. Take care.